In America, 554,000 citizens are homeless. That is 0.17% of the population, barely surviving on the streets. The same trend carries over here in Oregon, where an estimated 13,000 of our population is homeless, 3,800 in Portland alone. People who are homeless are most often unable to acquire and maintain regular, safe, secure, and stable housing. But what truly causes homelessness?
And so,
Yeah.
okay. Are you homeless? So are you homeless? So our first question is kind of, are you homeless?
Yes, but not living on the sidewalk. I just spent 2 weeks at a youth hostel that was $48 a night because I just started getting Social Security payments. So I've been using that cash, but I've kind of run out of money, and there's also a 15-day limit at that, and all my stuff is there, so I don't want to move to another hostel. I'm getting like maybe $900 a month from Social Security, so I'm looking for, I can afford up to like maximum like $700 a month because I also get food stamps. So like I'm not going to spend more than $200 a month. I also have a free phone, the Assurance Wireless, which is Obama phone. There's probably a Wikipedia page about Obama phone.
There was. Obama phone is the widely used and misleading nickname of a 28-year-old federal program known as Lifeline. It provides discounts averaging $9.25 a month on phone service for 13.3 million low-income individuals.
But even if I show that to like a landlord, there are so many other like higher income people that the landlord could rent to other than me. So maybe I'll find like a house where there's people around my age. I'm 26. Maybe I'll find like people who just have a room open. I interviewed yesterday, but they're taking a few days to think about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know when I'll have housing, but I'm not like living in a tent or anything like that. But yeah, I don't have an address or a permanent place to put my stuff.
What put you out on the street?
Well, I had a hard time in public school. I went to school in central Jersey. It turns out I have high functioning autism, which I got diagnosed with in my 20s, which I'm in now. And like the high school I went to like had no idea how to deal with someone who had special needs, who was high functioning. They only had a system for people low functioning with special needs. So like I did not have a trajectory. Like I went to college and studied history and political science, which I didn't really have a career path in mind. So what happened was I just kind of lost hope that I would ever find like a $500, $600 a month room that I could have like anywhere. I don't know how to find it. When I pass by these places like, leasing a studio, 1 bedroom, like all those places want at least 3 times the monthly rent and income. So it's just hopeless to do that. I mean, the federal government pays $200 a month for food stamps, and as a result of that, as well as private charity, no one in America starves to death because of lack of access to food. So if we can avoid that in the United States with a $200 a month entitlement, that really doesn't cost a lot if you look at like, the military budget.
The military budget of 2018 hit just under $700 billion. To compare, the government annually spends about $70.9 billion on programs to help the homeless.
Just invest. I mean, people are already sleeping on the public sidewalks rent-free, so just accept that they're gonna live rent-free somewhere and give them a safe place to live where they can control their privacy.
The food stamp program is run by a government agency known as the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP. The maximum monthly budget for food stamps for an individual is around $190. This money allows the user to purchase only food items. It specifically regulates what can and cannot be purchased with limited funds, preventing users from purchasing non-food items or alcohol or tobacco products. In 2018, President Donald Trump's budget proposed cutting $213 billion over a decade for SNAP.
You get everyone off the street, you potentially make it easier, like a better social environment. Everyone would have a basic feeling of dignity. Their mind wouldn't be racing and distracted by, oh my God, there could be a threat coming from any direction, someone to steal my shit, like assault me. at any time. Yeah.
So we'll get one more question.
Sorry if I meandered.
Oh, no, that's perfect.
What are some of the difficulties that prevent you from having a stable home situation?
You know, the wait list for, I don't know if you guys know, like the wait list for public housing is like at least a year to get an apartment or a room in an apartment. I've heard people waiting 6 years to 15 years. So, like, it's very frustrating.
It is not impossible to end homelessness. In fact, some cities have already begun. Atlanta announced in 2017 that due to their push for new housing units and homeless shelters, they have effectively ended homelessness among veterans, giving them permanent housing. According to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, it would cost around an extra $20 billion for the U.S. to essentially end homelessness throughout the country. After all, the base concept is relatively simple: government-funded housing for those who cannot afford it.
My name is Ben.
Ben, yeah.
And I live outside in Portland, Oregon.
So our first question is, how long have you been homeless?
By the state's standards, 3 years, and by my own standards, about 8.
So what are some of the difficulties that prevent you from having a stable home situation?
You know that shit's money. And you know it's a scam. I'm working on a stable home situation right now. In my camp of people that I live in, we're working very diligently to have some amount of safety and some amount of comfort, some amount of security, stuff like that. I'll call that my home right now.
So what is some of your day-to-day activities? What do those look like?
I got a puppy now, so shit's crazy. What am I doing with a puppy? A homeless guy trying to like take care of myself, right? So taking care of a puppy too is like, fuck, it's crazy. But it's cool. You're a good girl. You know, on a day-to-day, I work 3 days a week, and
Where do you work?
so a restaurant washing dishes. I gotta get a shower at least once a week. I gotta keep my clothes clean. Watch out!
It's hard to keep a steady job when you're homeless and you don't have nowhere to change at. You don't have nowhere to take a shower before work, and so you don't have time to get ready for work. So it's kind of hard to put an address down for work. So it's hard to find that.
It is incredibly difficult for the homeless to find a place to wash clothes or take a shower. In Portland, there are quite a few nonprofits dedicated to the cause. Harbor of Hope has created trailers that are retrofitted with private showers as well as washer-dryer systems. Another nonprofit, Portland Street Medicine, has a team of more than 70 medical providers making the rounds and providing first aid and other medical services to folks living on the streets.
There's some times where I gotta go out and make some money that's not for my job. You know, picking up cans. I supported myself for 8 months on cans, which sucks balls. I highly recommend for y'all's sociology project that you go out and pick up $10 worth of cans and then take them into the store to get your money and just see how much work that is and question yourself when you consider whether or not homeless people work.
What are some things that could change that would allow you to have a more stable home?
Well, I mean, I would have to get an apartment or a house, or be allowed to stay on somebody's land in order to have kind of a stable home situation.
Homesteading in Wyoming?
Where I'm staying right now is stable-ish.
We got 80,000 people in it.
Though, you know, we got to talk one guy out of punching everybody in the face, and we got to talk the other guy out of getting so drunk that he falls over and hurts himself, you know, because it's painful for other people to see. I can go back to work, probably, even though it's like tough for my mental state. Most people who live outside are mentally ill, so it's probably 99% of the people who live outside are mentally ill, John included.
That's speaking highly of me.
Yes, mentally ill that's a compliment, John.
I don't know if I'm ill mentally or if I'm mentally ill.
Mental illness is also a large cause of homelessness. According to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration, 20 to 25% of the homeless population in the United States suffers from some form of severe mental illness, with the city of Portland estimated at 57%. People who are mentally ill and are homeless lack treatment and services to help support their illness. Mental illnesses make it difficult for people to take care of themselves as well as manage their houses, which make them more likely to become homeless than the general population. Those that are mentally ill and are homeless have a greater chance of maintaining housing status if they are provided supported housing programs.
Conflict theory argues that society is made up of individuals competing for limited resources. Broader social structures and organizations reflect the competition for resources and their inherent inequalities. Some people and organizations have more resources and use them to maintain their positions of power in society. As it is evident through our research and interviews, housing in Portland is a limited resource. People are waiting for public housing for years to come. Inequalities in the housing market exist. As Owen explained in his interview, there are many more people with money, aka power and influence, that can use this to acquire housing over the people like him struggling to provide for themselves. The conflict theory was developed to contrast the structural functional approach, one that supports the theory that societies trend towards equilibrium. The conflict theory states that there will always be competition over scarce resources, inequalities in power and reward, and change occurs as a result of competing interests. All three subjects we interviewed exemplify this theory through their competing for scarce housing, differing levels of power, and promoting change through personal interests.
What? What's stacked against you?
You're right.